beat. Tear the night with electric scream. Amped up dreams fuel the stream. Thunder blast through endless skies. Driving forward never dies. Kicker unmasked, live it loud. Break the silence, join the crowd. Rock the planet, feel the fire. Shake the world, lift it higher. Whoa! Wires twist like veins of steel. Born to crush, born to feel. Lightning runs through every chord. Power surge, the final word. Shatter chains with sonic waves. Carve the air like razor blades. No escape, no retreat. Victory tastes so sweet. Kicker unmasked, live it loud. Break the silence, join the crowd. Rock the planet, feel the fire. Shake the world, lift it higher. Hey, yeah.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining us again for another episode of Unmasked Live. Tonight we're going to be talking all things Harley-Davidson audio, and we've got a very special guest in the house tonight. I've got Joe Gross here with me, and he's pretty much the preeminent authority on motorcycles here within the company. We've got a lot of great questions we're going to ask him. You guys are going to learn a lot, and we're going to have a lot of fun doing it. So stick around for just a minute. We'll be right back.
For more than 50 years, Kicker has been rocking the planet on anything that moves. Kicker, the legacy continues.
Something about your hands on the wheel, got a sexy touch. It's enough to make me and my Chevy blush so long. Take it on, off with that highway, turn me on. I'll let you drive, babe. You can take it fast as you want to. Girl, little dirty looks damn good on. You start me up, stones on the radio. Girl, I love it when you let go. Don't waste your way in the wrong way. Get off on some 4x4 play.
Welcome back, guys. I have Joe Gross in the studio with me, and I think I want to just kind of dive in. So, what do you say, Joe? Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of your Harley-Davidson history?
Oh, been blessed enough to be with Stillwater Designs now for going on 24 years, and they have me working in the Automotive OEM side for product line development, sales, dealing directly with the OEs. But my favorite part of everything that I do, I think, is the Powersports side.
Awesome.
Been doing motorcycles since I was probably 6 years old. It's first Harley was in I don't know, maybe the early '80s, back in the AMF days.
Yeah, what were you calling those? The dark days of
The dark
Harley?
days of Harley Davidson when they were owned by a bowling alley company.
So what's your title here at Kicker?
I am the product line and sales director for our Automotive OEM and Powersports division.
Okay, awesome. So you oversee all of the stuff like the tailgate audio for GM, but also all of our awesome motorcycle products that we make.
Yeah, we have a great team of people. I come up with great ideas, and we have an amazing team of people who put it all together, and they just do it's just an amazing team.
Awesome. Well, man, so you guys see a bunch of stuff here in front of us. We've got all sorts of Powersports and marine audio speakers. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how we made the determination to have the sizes that we have for Powersports and motorcycle speakers.
Yeah, it's really kind of a cool evolution of product. Back in 2008, Roger Demery showed up here with a Harley and said, wouldn't it be cool if we did audio on a motorcycle? And there was a lot of yays and nays, and then people talk about the environmental and the how do you make a speaker sound good over loud pipes and 100 plus cubic inches of motor, tire noise, road noise, and all that. I sit back and I watch what you guys do in the tech force and training and everything you do. And one of the coolest things I thought that y'all have developed was talking about the big three and explaining to people and how that works, why you need to do that. Well, in motorcycle audio, it's kind of, we have our big three too, except that, well, I haven't seen an alternator on a motorcycle. So current draw is a really important thing. A lot of people don't know that you've only got 35 amps of charging, and you can't just go down there and buy a great big new alternator and stick it on there and have the additional current that you need. You can spend $500-600 and you can go from 35 to 55 amps. Well, current is important. For at least since 2014 and a little before that, fuel injection has become part of that V-twin marketplace. Well, fuel injection depends on fuel pressure. Fuel pressure depends on voltage. If you do the basic, simple math, and y'all have done an amazing job of teaching everybody this, but if you take wattage divided by input voltage, you come out with current. You got 35 amps of charging on a motorcycle, and 600 watts will be 47 amps of current draw. You've already exceeded by 12 amps the maximum capability of charging. So that's where we get into our big three. Big three, if you're going to put amperage or lots of amplifiers on a motorcycle, you, one, increase your wire gauge size. Okay, make sure you got plenty of wire. And two, take a look at a battery. Well, a battery for a Harley, you got a very small real estate package underneath that seat. I use excess power, lithium underneath my seat, and I love that battery. It works great. And lithium, even without a BCM, works very well with a stator and runs very stable voltage. I hold about 14.6, 14.7 steady when my bike is running. But 1,000 watts, whew. How do we do that? Well, you got to have reserve current. Beef up the wire. So we get into the design or the whole concept. I remember when I first got started in car audio, it was a really neat thing. They were talking about how power works and decibels and 3 dB and all that stuff, and you were just like, oh, wow, Well, the old question comes up is, what do you have to do to power to gain 3 dB? We have to double your power. But the problem is you're not doubling your output.
Right.
It's what, 10 dB to double? Well, from 1 watt to 2 watts is no big a deal. But from 300 to 600, you go from 24 to 47 amps of current draw just to pick up 3 dB. So we started from the beginning. We started taking a look at our speaker design. Take a look at the way you build them. One, they got to be reliable. Two, they got to be able to fit the environment that they're in. And of course, they have to have the Kicker signature sound amazing, and they have to be really reliable.
So one of the ways you could get more output from a speaker is by increasing your cone area, right? So was a 6x9 a pretty common standard speaker size?
Actually, 5x7 in the early days for the bag lids was a standard, and 6x9 was an upgrade where you actually had to go in and modify your lids. But one of the biggest things we figured out is just like in any kind of speaker design, was speaker sensitivity. If I can increase the speaker sensitivity while maintaining power handling, optimizing frequency response, and hitting all of the buttons on here about reliability, durability, environment, but I could take it from 88 to say 92, 93 dB sensitivity, it's almost like doubling your power.
But you're just doing it with a more efficient speaker. You're getting more output with the same amount of power.
Yes. So power is never really the answer to a problem when you have limited current draw. Now, there are custom guys out there that are putting batteries and woofers and stuff, and I love to see these types of builds. But for the everyday rider, the proper amount of power, and I mean true RMS power, All of our amplifiers are conformal coated. They're built for the environment. This 300.4 really does 75 by 4 into 2 ohms. I've seen a lot of amplifiers out there that are this size that claim to be 1,000 watts. Not on the bench, they're not.
Well, in a couple ways. I mean, you can look at the fuse rating of the amp and use that same math to figure out how much output that amplifier is going to make. But you can also say, like, if we have a 1,000-watt amplifier going on the factory charging system of a motorcycle, is that amp going to be able to make 1,000 watts?
It can give you a problem. You start drawing that much current while you're rolling down the road, your voltage drops. Okay, you'll actually see it on your gauge in your fairing. And now you're starting to fuel starve. You lean your motor out. We all know what that happens. It makes lots of heat and lots of things, and not to mention it's a safety issue. You're going to have to do lots of battery. Just like in traditional car audio, the problem is we really can't up the charging system. So we start with reasonable amounts of power connected to a very high sensitivity speaker. Proper location, proper mounting, again, all of the parts and pieces to give a really good sound. Well, in 2014, Harley did a really neat thing. They went from what was called J1850, which is basically a bus system with a standard radio that had some basic bus commands through the steering wheel controls, but most of it was all analog. In 2014, they came out with what's called the Rushmore Edition. And Rushmore Edition went full CAN bus with a radio, and anybody who's messed with a 14 or newer Rushmore Series bike knows that you've got to flash the radio. What comes out of that is a really high voltage and not an EQ that would make most of us very happy. Huge boost at 70 cycles, blah, blah, blah.
So what would that mean for our average guy who's just trying to get some speaker upgrade on a bike and throw some power at it? So you mentioned he has to flash the bike. Would that be something he would need to take his bike to a dealer and have him do?
Any dealer who has been doing any kind of motorcycles, one of my favorite programmers out there is a Techno Research device. It actually has a kicker program built into it for both the speaker level and the amplifier level, where we go in and it's basically reflashes or reconfigures the equalization. And when you go into the amp control, you have amp 1, amp 2 for front and rear. Our flash program not only drops the voltages, but it enables the fader control in the factory radio.
You can use rear speakers now with that factory radio.
Yes, indeed. And it's kind of a neat thing. I had somebody ask me, says, man, I got to get 6x9s in my lids. I got to get them out there. And it's just going to sound so much better rolling down the road. And then I go, rear speakers are for rear passengers. Anybody who's ridden a bike knows you can't hear speakers behind you, but if you're riding 2 up, my wife loves to ride with me. She has her own jump drive for her music. She puts it in whether I like it or not. And she gets to enjoy those rear 6x9s. For a long time, we had only an upgrade for the factory 5x7. And this was a really well-designed speaker, has great sound, has amazing sound quality rolling down the road. It utilizes the spade connectors as well as the factory Harley connector, and it can be a direct replacement for a bike that came with a 5x7. But one of the big things that everybody wanted was a 6x9 upgrade. Well, our PSC 692, very high sensitivity, 2-way speaker, long throw 6x9, I think it's like 100 watts RMS speaker, great speaker, and it matches really well with the 304 that comes in the kits. The 304 out of the box, 75 by 2 or 75 by 4 into 2 ohm. All the speakers that come with our kits are 2 ohm. And if you don't have rear speakers, we've all heard the term cut in. We resisted. We did a complete direct replacement lid because I didn't like the idea of cutting a great big hole in a piece of plastic and expecting it to hold a structural rigidity, which number 1 causes leaks, and number 2, Q loss.
You mentioned leaks. Let's go back for just a second and let's get into some of the design considerations that we got to make for speakers. So we touched on one of them. We touched on sensitivity. So on motorcycle, we want really highly sensitive speakers so you can make the most out of the power that you have available. Yeah. But there are a few other things we need to consider too. You were talking about leaks on your bag lids. Do motorcycle speakers have to be water resistant?
Absolutely. And if you look at the way we do these things, everything is built, and it's not just about lack of water intrusion. It's not just about being able to handle the vibration, the sensitivity at all. It also has a lot to do with UV. A lot of bikes sit outside, and I've actually seen speakers that are less than a year old that are left in the sun that tremendously distort. The cones start to get ripple, the fading of the surrounds.
I've even seen that on dash speakers in cars.
Oh my
before.
gosh, yes. We call it the avalanche effect. If you've ever seen an old avalanche, you know that all the plastic turned gray, right?
So I know if you guys have been watching the show before and you've seen some of the marine episodes, and we talk a lot about all the testing that the marine speakers have to go through. Do we do a lot of the same kind of UV testing and water exposure testing?
Our mechanical and acoustic guys do an amazing job. I like to brag on Daniel because he works really hard on our programs. In fact, one of his most recent creations we're going to talk about in a minute. Everything is done the Kicker way. The mechanicals have to be perfect. We have to go through all the UV, salt spray, everything that we do for every single product that we build. And to the level of a marine type speaker, but it's a different application, and it's also voiced very differently. Our product, if you were to put that speaker or one of these KMXLs in a car, I'm pretty sure it would make your hair fall out. Well, you know, they are really bright, but they are designed to be enjoyed at road speeds.
75 miles an hour, 60 miles an hour.
Around here, we have 80 mile an hour speed limits, and of course, you know, you can always add plus 10.
Yeah.
So they got to sound good at 90, I've heard. Don't tell my wife I've ridden my bike that fast.
Yeah, plead the fifth here, man. You don't got to get yourself in trouble.
But our standard kits, our entry-level kits, the PSC 692 has a 92.5 dB sensitivity, and it is a really bright speaker out of the box. If you listen to it in a dealer demo board, it would be like, ooh, that's bright. But on a motorcycle, it sounds absolutely amazing. Our PSC 692s, same way. But adding a 692 or a 6x9 to a lid, water intrusion, UV, durability, kickability. I can promise you, if you've ever thrown your leg over to be a rear passenger, it's not if, it's when you're going to kick the lid. I cringe every time, but because there's always boots involved, right?
Yeah, right.
So we did finally last year come out with our cut-in 6x9s. We all know the typical template. 2 screws, tape it if you like it. That's what I would do. Pre-drill your holes, mark it, cut it using the template, or take the template off and be very careful with your jigsaw. I don't like cutting with the template on personally, but I know some people who would never do it any different. Then we've got to make sure that this combination of inner and outer part has a tremendously wide sealing area. If you look at the width of the sealing area around this,
that's got to be like an inch or so, right?
Yeah, it is rock solid. And then putting screws into a speaker, into plastic.
Oh yeah, we all know what happens when you put a screw through plastic and get just a couple extra turns on that screw.
Well, you know, and I mean, it's not like Harleys vibrate at all, and all roads in America are glass smooth.
Yeah,
I mean,
perfectly.
pothole, what's a pothole, right? The last thing you need is your speaker coming loose, threads pulling loose in the plastic, quarter turn too much, and boom, you're done. So for that reason, we use a brass or true overmolded insert, just like Harley does in their fairings. Now, don't cross-thread it. It's not good. Then, the big sealing area. Then, we go to a 1 mil heavy-duty mesh that's E-coat, powder coat, with a nice big sealing area around it as well. Now, I'm not a big light guy. Don't like LEDs all over my motorcycle, but
there are a lot of people that do.
Yes, they do. And for that,
and I know your motorcycle has a lot of lights all over it. As a matter of fact,
it does. Jeremy Wynn was following me one day, and the Custom Dynamics flats that I have that are about 1.5 feet long that run down both sides of my rear fender. When I hit the brake, they're on a flash pattern that literally will melt your face. So Jeremy said he doesn't follow me anymore. But for that very reason, people like lights. We put RGB LED lights inside every kit comes pre-wired with this kit. If you get it with the speakers, it comes with the harnesses to get it outside the bag. So in the case of a PSC, you can now light it. In the case of, hand me that KMXL down there.
Yeah, sure.
I would imagine y'all have seen or heard of our KMXLs. These are 103 dB sensitivity speakers that are just absolutely bad to the bone. And you look at, they're a little heavier, and you look at, wow, the size of that motor. But then you realize that that motor is a neodymium motor.
It's not ferrite, it's just that much.
It's that much motor. It's like putting a 60-ounce slug of ferrite on the back of a 6x9.
Joe, how sensitive are these compared to
103?
Compared to 93 or so on the
93 on the PSCs or traditional car speakers of the 88, 89 dB range. These things are so loud with so little input that it's so easy with the way they're voiced to cut through the noise.
So you mentioned about 10 dB to be a perceived doubling in output. So you're going from 92.5 to 103. That is double the output with the same amount of power.
With 1 watt input.
With 1 watt.
1 watt, 103 dB, and they're 150 watt RMS speakers. And I mean, when I say RMS, I mean real RMS. We don't claim that this is a 1,000 watt speaker because it's not. It sounds absolutely amazing. And you pull the light bridge off of this speaker because people like lights, and you get your lights back. And this speaker works perfectly with our cut-ins. The coolest thing about our cut-ins, I've seen and played with every brand of cut-in that's out there. One of the things I noticed is that the standard 6x9 hole pattern was deviated from it, every single one. It's almost like they say, you got to use my speaker.
That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah. Well, as much as I love, and I would like to think that everybody on the planet would buy Kicker speakers, some people have their favorite brands, okay? And there's some really good brands out there, a lot of good quality stuff.
Sure
For that reason, we do a standard 6x9 hole pattern with a standard great big gasket on the backside with the brass inserts to bolt this in so that it seals up super tight. And in the case of using the KMXL 6x9, having to remove the light bridge, guess what? You get your lights back in a full RGB. And with our RGB controller, of course, you've got 9 billion different color combinations and so on and so forth. I don't recommend on the 14 through 23 street lights to put KMXLs in the fairings with the lights. You really don't want LED lights in your face where you're trying to drive, but you know, maybe you could dim them down or something, but again, people like lights. Speaking of 6.5s, PSC 6.5 we talked about.
This guy.
The KMXL 6.5. This speaker is 93 dB sensitivity, sounds absolutely amazing. I have a Road Glide which has 16 Road Glide, that has extremely shallow mounting depth. I wanted a little more volume. Well, we know that 6x9's in the back, they're for my wife. So I went with lowers. And in the lowers, I went with the KMXL 6.5s. The KMXL 6.5s at 103 dB, I actually put a 300.4 on them bridged. So 150 watts of channel RMS.
So we take Joe's bike to Knowledge Fest and a couple other industry shows, and he's got some accessory switches on there that allow you to turn the lowers on or turn them off, which is great for our booth because when I'm doing trainings and I'm talking about like our bag lid kits and our plug and play upgrades, I can let them listen to that and then hit the switch and let them listen to what it sounds like with the lowers and the KMXLs installed.
Yeah.
And it's a huge difference.
And with our proprietary flash that's built into the Techno Research that actually enables the fader control. My bike is a 16 Special, which was only a two-speaker bike. When you do the flash and amp 1, amp 2 enable, not only do you get our signature sound with our speakers, but you enable the fader control. So for a demo, there are times when I just want to open road, I can fade to the rear passengers enjoying the music, and I'm enjoying the sound of my pipes.
So there's one more thing that we haven't touched on directly yet, but you talked about weight in terms of speakers a couple times. What is it? Why are all of our motorcycle speakers super lightweight? Like, I mean, you were holding this one.
The neodymium, I mean, putting that unsprung weight, I mean, lots of heavy weight up high on the fairing, especially with a street glide, because the fairing is attached to the bars. Personally, I don't like a lot of extra weight in there because it makes the bike, especially buffeting when you're driving down the road. An 18-wheeler passes you the other way and the wind kind of catches it, the additional weight. So for that reason, we do use a neodymium with an aluminum heat sink. Why would we put aluminum around a Neo motor? The only enemy of Neo that I know of is heat. And when you're building a speaker that's got 75 watts, and my volume control on my bike when I'm rolling down the road is wide open. I have it cranked wide open. I have my music in and I'm enjoying it. The aluminum heatsink dissipates the heat off the Neo. The Neo reduces the weight of the speaker, and you get a speaker that is equivalent to like a 20 or 25 ounce ferrite motor in this little small package. And it's the same way with the PSCs. And when you go to the KMXL, yes, that speaker is much heavier, but it would normally have been a 60 ounce ferrite.
Yeah, I was going to say,
compared to the 4 or 5 ounces of Neo.
It's like, imagine how much larger that motor would have to be in ferrite to make up the difference in sensitivity and output.
Yes.
But, you know, I like to tell, and I know this is hard for you guys since you're watching, but this speaker is made out of all composite material with the exception of that aluminum heatsink and Neo motor. So it almost weighs less than the packaging that the speaker came in. I mean, that thing is super, super lightweight.
We've been to some rallies and shows where a guy had a CVO that came with a factory 507, and those guys do not want to cut their CVO lids because of the
Understandably.
specialized paint.
Yeah.
And they don't want to cut them. They don't want to replace them. They just want a direct replacement that works. And one of the common complaints we heard over and over and over before we had our 5x7, 6x8 done was, man, I replaced them with something and they just didn't hold up. They sounded okay for a couple of weeks, maybe a month, and then they blew just like the factory ones. We worked very, very hard to make the speaker not only sound amazing, but to be ultra, ultra reliable. And it works. And again, it crosses our big three: environmental, sound quality, and higher sensitivity.
So, Joe, I see a good question in the chat. Somebody's asking, do they have bass on them to get a good sound? And I know we were going to talk about this a little bit later on. And just to spoil it for you guys, one of our tech questions was, I'm wanting more bass on my motorcycle. How can I achieve this? Well, I saw this guy asking in the comments, and I figured we go ahead and address that tech question now.
If you are a parking lot pounder, and trust me, there are plenty of days when I roll up, a group of friends, we love to pound the pavement with our tunes in a parking lot. And you can make bass to a certain degree until you start the motor. When you start the motor and you start rolling down the road, I mean, I've got 4.5-inch exhaust on mine with true header pipes from the heads back.
So it's pretty loud.
Cammed.
Pretty bassy, probably, just the exhaust.
There are some that say that I could wake the dead with my bike. So making bass on a motorcycle when you're riding, you just need to get a buddy with 618s, maybe the Solo X18s, to ride behind you on the same radio station. Bass and rolling down the road is just not there. In the parking lot, oh man, I mean, there's amazing. Our 6x9s do a great job. Our KMXL 6x9s do an amazing job. And when you can throw that much power at them, I've seen all kinds of really cool things with 10-inch woofers and bags, and our CWRT 104s on a 500.1 do an amazing job. I don't want to unload 600 watts on a pair of 10s. But me, if I had them on my bike, I'd have a switch to turn them off when I'm rolling down the road, because
Going
it's
90.
just an absolute waste of current draw.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible to get over the road noise, pipes, wind, everything else. And the bass is going to end up going behind you. So.
Good question, man. Appreciate that. So, I got a couple more questions for you. We talked about one of them already in that awesome cut-in bag lid kit, but what other kind of solutions does Kicker offer for these guys that just want it easy to install but want it to sound really good too?
If you want to do just a basic speaker upgrade, we've got a really cool in our PSC 5250, which is a direct replacement 5 1/4 for the 96 through 13 bikes. We've got 14 through 23.5 with PSC 692, which is a direct replacement, high sensitivity, great sound quality, even on the factory radio. Are you going to see a dramatic improvement? It's not going to be like you added, 600 watts to it, but it will be a noticeably better sound signature. It's just smoother, cleaner. The highs are a little brighter. The voices will be a little better. If you've got a factory 5x7s, a direct replacement. Now, our kits, plug and play kits.
Yeah, let's talk about those kits for a minute.
When I say plug and play, we did this a very long time ago, and we matched every single factory connector. We run twisted pair, all the connectors, everything were there. And when I say plug and play,
Even the wire colors match, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Daniel was about ready to kill me on that one. But the 304 attaches directly to the brackets, like in the Road Glide here. You'll see that this just slides right up underneath here. These two holes go in here. This goes underneath the radio. Everything is made to be easy. And when I talk about the flash programmer for the 14 and up Rushmore Series bikes, you select kicker in the speakers, you select kicker in the amplifiers, you flash, then you go in and you adjust your gains. The only problem I've ever heard with our kits is people don't follow the instructions and turn the gain to 0. Because when we test the amplifiers, and they give you little birth certificates and all the really cool stuff that the electronics group does, they have that gain cranked up and they want to be able to test the amp. I've been begging them for a long time to turn them back to 0. And they say, well, people complain that the amp has no output when they first turn it on. So turn the gains to 0, flash the amplifier, or flash the bike, go in, set your gains, and do it with your favorite kind of music. And I always recommend run through 10 or 12 different songs. If you listen to different genres, go through some different genres and find that gain setting. I've typically found that it's usually around 9 o'clock if you look at the gain settings for both amp 1 and amp 2 in a 4-speaker configuration. I'm actually running fairing, lowers, and 6x9s. I set each speaker separately. And when you're doing your lowers, always check for phase. And you say, well, I hooked up the positive to positive, negative to negative. Well, electrical phase is one thing, time phase is another. If it makes more bass with them out of phase, we learned that in subwoofer class a long time ago. Same thing with full range speakers.
Just make sure the polarity is correct. What if that plug and play kit, you know it's correct as soon as you plug it in?
We actually deliberately wire the 6x9s on the 4-channel plug that goes to the back of the every kit comes with a 4-channel amp, so your rear speaker ready, and our rear speakers are deliberately wired out of phase. I actually had a tech reach out to me because somebody called them and said, did you know your rear speakers are wired out of phase? And I said, yes, which puts them in proper time phase, so it makes more bass for the rider sitting on the seat, and it just sounds better overall.
So, I mean, and I think you guys are getting the story, but all of just the little details that we put into our kits and our upgrades, I mean, we do it with everything, but here it's really apparent. And Joe was telling me a story too about the grill on the cut-in bag lid kit, how it's specifically designed to be resistant to saltwater and saltwater environments, even though it doesn't need to be necessarily.
Not everybody lives in Oklahoma. There's people that live down in New Orleans.
Right.
And the Gulf of Mexico, I've heard, has got a little bit of salty water.
Man, those guys from New Orleans are, I mean, but so we've also, I mean, he was very persistent about making sure we had a diamond cut aluminum badge on that grill as well.
No stamped plastic badges here, diamond cut, real aluminum, environmentally tested. It's got to meet a kicker standard for not just sound quality, but overall reliability. One of the coolest things that it was very humbling to me, made me feel, I was pretty proud of it too, is that last year at Sturgis, we had a team of people up on Lozelle, and they were kind of showing off our wares. We weren't selling, we weren't doing installs, just kind of getting a good feel for the market. And a guy rolled up that said that we put a system in his bike 7 years ago in Fayetteville, at Bikes, Blues, and Barbecue. Said the system still sounded absolutely amazing, just like the day we put it in. He couldn't believe it.
Can't beat
and he
that.
said that some of his buddies who had replacement systems had it replaced twice, and his is still cranking. That says a lot about the philosophy of Kicker in general, and always give the customer more than they expect.
Yeah, well, I completely agree. I mean, I would say with any of these products, you're getting more than you expect. I mean, even like the brass inserts on the cut-in kits, you know, it's, I think a lot of people wouldn't expect that amount of detail to go into.
Yeah.
hardly any products you can buy on the market.
I see a question. Somebody talked about the 24s, and while the 24 is similar in a lot of ways to the Rushmore Series bikes, it went through a lot of changes. And we talked about going from a J1850 bus system to a true CAN bus system in 14 through 23. When I tell you, trust me, we have some unbelievably cool products coming for the 24 and ups to address lids, to address A to B issues, to address equalization issues, and a lot of things. And people talk about power, power, power. When I run the configuration, and I've done the testing now for 4 years on a bike with between 600 and 1,000 watts, with the Big 2 upgrade, that's running a much bigger, very high quality battery and upgrading the electrical system. Can't do an alternator. It wouldn't look really pretty on a bike hanging off on a fan belt. Nah. So up to 1,000 watts on a bike can be achieved if you will do the Big 2 upgrade. So the question I got was, okay, well, why do you do a 300 watt amp? Well, first of all, it's a real 300 watts. Secondly, we have super high efficiency speakers, but we may be answering some questions in the near future with some really cool new toys coming for both from 96 through present. Stay tuned.
Nice. Oh, one other thing. I don't think we talked about this yet. Joe, why don't you tell us about some of the design considerations for amplifiers that go on motorcycles as well? Because we talked about with speakers, they've got to be lightweight and water resistant. What do we have to do on an amp to achieve the same type of thing?
Well, first of all, with Kicker, we do true RMS. Okay, all of our amplifiers we know overperform what they're rated at. We never ever will put 1,000 watts on the amplifier and call it 1,000.2 when it's actually only, I don't know, 300 watts RMS.
Yeah.
Secondly, I got to ask a question that says, why don't you make your amplifiers for Powersports submersible? And I said, you ride your Harley underwater? And I know some folks in there, side by sides and so on and so forth, they put the snorkel kits on them and all. And we do have really elegant solutions for that are truly submersible amps. But if it doesn't fit, it doesn't count.
We used to have one right over there in a fish tank,
yeah,
sitting on the end of the table.
Size matters. And the 300.4 is full conformal coat, and conformal coating does an amazing job where the amplifier can survive very well, very long term. The two 300.4s in my bike have been in there since 2016. They've been there 10 years and I've never had a single issue. Conformal coating keeps high humidity. I wash my bike a lot. Now the amps are given, they're under the fairing, but water does get in the factory fairing, imagine that.
So you've got two of those amps in the fairing.
Yeah.
Nice.
I have one bridged to my KMXL 6.5s in my lowers, and I have one bridged to my rear KMXLs in my lids because I really like the 103 dB speakers that handle more power. 600 watts, 47 amp peak current draw with excess power lithium battery. I've never had an issue, but again, the battery, I upgraded my 4 gauge, my power and ground cables. In my bike, I ran 2 sets of 8 gauges from my battery directly to my fairing with the two 304s underneath there. So I've got plenty of current draw using coarse oxygen-free copper, no tinned aluminum.
So you think that battery you were talking about, is that what allowed you to step up and do 2 amplifiers on that bike?
I got plenty of storage capacitance. And keep in mind, when I say 47 amps of current draw, 47.6 actually, but riding down the road, those are instantaneous peaks. And the way our configuration is set up on our bike, the louder it goes, the more it will contour the low end bass off because you're not going to be able to utilize that information. You're not going to be able to hear it. So I can run wide open at the speed limit, always speed limit.
Yeah, definitely.
And until my gas gauge says E. And I never have thermal problems. I never have any issues with my bike whatsoever. I never run my battery down. I don't create any problem with my fuel system, and I'm cammed. I'm across the board, so I probably use a little more gas than some bikes do. But again, it's kind of a whole system designed. And again, I can't stress enough loud and clean with low current draw, high sensitivity, high quality materials, E-coat, powder coat, diamond cut aluminum badges, conformal coat on the amplifiers. Every single part and piece, I mean, your system is only as good as its weakest link.
Right, and a lot of this stuff meets the same kind of standards that our marine product has to meet too. I mean,
without a doubt. And the standards of sound quality, there's not a single product that goes through here, and I know y'all teach this all day long. Our president and founder, nothing leaves here and goes into production without Steve's ear. And he is a remarkable man to work with.
Oh, he is, man. He really is the glue that keeps us together and keeps us steering in the right direction.
For true.
Cool, man. I think that's what we got for kind of the meat of the show. But next, I want to let the guys know that we do have a couple new products shipping. We have the MSLC shipping, which is going to be a marine light controller that is RGBW. So if you guys are doing a marine install, check that out. And we also have the new HS12s shipping as well. I know a lot of people have been waiting for the HS12s, but man, let's see if we have any questions in the chat that maybe Joe could answer for you guys while we're here. One for my homies says, could y'all say that the footprint of 2 of the 300.4 is the same as comparable amplifiers?
I've got DIMMs done and marked and so on and so forth. My memory's not quite that good. What I will tell you is that this amplifier will fit in 96 through 23.5 with 0 issues, and a big brother well, I'm not supposed to talk about that. Will fit in all 14 and newer bikes. Footprint wise, this, if you remember the old 304, this is a smidgen bigger. People complained about the heat, even though we never had thermal issues. I tried my best to get the amplifier to trigger the thermistor and couldn't do it. And I even ran it down to a 1 ohm load and still couldn't get it to trigger. This amp is a little bigger, so it runs a little bit cooler. And I think that the total output power into 2 ohm is actually a little more like everything else we build than 75/4 into 2 ohm.
So how were you able to fit 2 of those amps in your fairing in your bike?
They actually fit side by side.
Really?
And it was not right out of the box. Okay, I had to.
Did you make a custom bracket?
Yeah, I did. I mean, when you start getting out of the box with the plug and play, it took a little bit of work, but not near as much as you thought. And it was worth it to me overall, and it gave me time to play with my tools and bleed a little bit. So
awesome. Let's see if we got any more questions. Will that LED controller work with the LED kit for rear bags? Good question. So it will technically work with it. You just won't have access to the dedicated white color coming with it. So you've got on the RGBs for the bag kits, you've got RGB, and then the lighting controller is RGBW. So it's got an extra wire. If you were to use it on your bike, you would want to not use the white wire. Correct. But also keep in mind that RGBW controller has, I want to say 300 watts of output just for LEDs. So if you've got a charging system on your bike that, and you want all that to go towards power for your amplifiers, not your LEDs, then I would look at the KMLC lighting controller, which is RGB, and now you don't have to skip out on using the white wire.
And when you run the combination of an RGB in the controller, you can actually get a close to white. It's not like RGBW, but you can get the, oh my God, how many, 256 different combinations and dimming and strobing patterns and different color combinations. Yeah. It gives you a ton of flexibility, and this is true RGB, not RGBW. But the small credit card remote actually fits right up in my little pop-up pocket in my fairing, and I actually put lights on on my bike for my daughter, because when she would ride with me, she wanted the lights on, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Okay, let's do one more. Instagram, is it difficult? This is a question from a guy on Instagram, I suppose. is it difficult on a motorcycle to go from a 5 1/4 to a 6 or a 6.5 inch speaker?
If you've got a 96 through 13 Street Glide, Road Glide, they came standard with a 5 1/4. And there are companies like Metra, Scotia, I believe, are still some of the little companies that make an adapter that goes from the 5 1/4 to the 6.5. I've actually done a couple of those. I had a friend of mine with a 2012 Road Glide, and he built a monster engine for it and all, and he did not want to go to the new Rushmore series because he spent so much on this motor. And I actually used those adapters, and they sounded pretty darn good. The output difference of the cone area from a 5 1/4 to 6.5, not to mention that this is a pretty amazing bright speaker, and so the sound coming through the 5 1/4 hole was not an issue at all.
Cool. That's awesome, man. It's nice to have firsthand experience when a question like that comes up so we can answer it for the guys. All right, so let's go ahead, and we got some fail pictures and cool pictures as always, and once I wake my laptop up here, I'll get those pulled up for you guys. But let's see here. It's taking a minute. I guess it went to sleep. Oh well. Somebody says, can we get a close-up of the KMXL 6.5 inch speakers? I want to see the surrounds and the cone. Oh, and you know what we didn't talk about, Joe, is while I'm getting this set up.
I just saw it. The really cool thing is if you've got a 14 through 23 Street Glide and the new 23.5 or 24 Street and Road Glide, this 6.5 actually fits into the fairing. And one of the cool things is that, one, if you run these in lowers, we have some unbelievably cool grills, which I wish I had here, that will allow this to mount into the lower, and a metal mesh grill that matches all of the other grills. And if you're putting this in the fairing, you remove the light bridge, and because the fairing is in a near field to you, we actually have two different horns that are provided with the speaker. So if you're putting it in the fairing of the speaker, you pull the big horn out, and you put the short horn in with the light bridge removed, and it fits right behind the grill that came with your kit, so that everything looks really cool, easy going, and now you've got a true 150 watt RMS. To your point about the surround, I don't know if I can get this bridge off. I'm not that strong. Let me see if I can get that in there.
Yeah, let's get the close-up cam on it and then kind of angle it so that he can see. So it looks similar to that one in the center. You guys can kind of see it on the outer edge there, but it's like an accordion style surround where it's got two peaks on the edge. Yeah. And benefit of that is just giving you a little bit higher excursion and stability.
This speaker, I actually run my lowers at full range on 150 watts RMS, and the coolest thing about it, with the long horn in here, you've got a 2-inch inverted aluminum dome for the horn, so you don't have any problem with projection and your overall kind of a lobing pattern, and the sound carries really well through the wind. It's pretty nice in the lowers. But we were pretty happy about being able to run two horns in the same, comes in the kit. So if you do in the fairing, short throat, and long if you're going to go with the lowers.
All right, so I did get those fail picks pulled up here on my computer. So these are going to be, well, I'll let you guys see it for yourself here. And this one took me a minute when I was looking at it the first time. I thought that this was like foam around the edges of the speakers and stuff. That's not foam. Those are like enclosures, like MDF enclosures that somebody has cut holes in their door and then mounted, I guess, bolts through the back of the enclosures. Maybe
did Ernie do that last week in somebody's car?
I knew Ernie was working on something. But what tipped me off that it was actually MDF is that corner right there. You can see that it's been worn through. So I think these enclosures have been there for a little while, and the carpet is starting to rub off.
Hey, we give them an E for effort.
An E for effort. Not even a D or an F, it's an E. And then there's this one, which I guess isn't that bad when you look at it, because, I mean, it's still technically safe, I suppose. Like, the wire's not going through a door jam. They use zip ties, but, you know, I think there probably could have been a better spot to mount that amplifier and a better way to hide the wires. But That's just me.
I love it.
And then we've got one really cool install to show you guys here, and this one was Ernie had found it, I think, on the Kicker Club Facebook group. And if you guys aren't a member, you guys need to join that. There's lots of cool stuff. But a couple things that I like about this install. One, it's using our L7X subwoofer and LX amplifier. But if you guys look, it looked like they used solid wire to get power delivered to the speaker, which looks really nice with that install in an inverted subwoofer. And of course, obviously, all the custom work in this build is just absolutely fantastic looking. Looks like they wrapped the trim panel that goes around the trunk latch here with some nice vinyl, built out some side panels. Obviously, they did a lot of work on that box. There's a lot of cool stuff to look at.
I see a little Master Tech in there.
Yeah.
That's by the way, a great class for a lot of. I've seen a lot of people go to that and come back with some tremendous skills.
Yeah, that absolutely is on the level of Master Tech. You're totally right, man. Somebody spent a lot of time and effort to get that looking nice and sounding good. So you guys know we've got a couple of events coming up. The first one that I want to talk about is going to be Lone Star Throwdown in Conroe, Texas. I believe our own John Myers is going to be there in attendance. And a lot of cool stuff to see. It's a huge show, lots of cars, lots of sound systems. If you guys are in the area, go check it out. And then we also have Arena Cross coming up in Guthrie, which is very close to Stillwater, only about a 45-minute drive from here.
Yeah.
But if you guys are Arena Cross fans and you're in the area, get some tickets and go check it out. There's going to be a lot of Kicker people in attendance as well.
Yeah, some amazing AMA amateur motocross guys. If you're into that at all and you're in the area, it's well worth a trip to that show.
I've never been myself, but maybe I'll go check it out next year when they come back around. So you guys know we got to give away prizes. If you guys entered that drawing as we were discussing Harley-Davidson audio, the first prize is going to be third place, and you're going to win the TW1 earbuds. And let's see who the winner is for that prize. Throw it up on the screen. Maybe. It's going to be just a minute. So somebody says, I just bought 4 KM8s and 4 KM 6.5s. What's the best amp to power these? I'm assuming that you're putting all that stuff on a boat and not a motorcycle, but you know, I've seen some crazier things in my time. But if it is a boat, I would probably suggest that KXMA 800.8. What do you think, Joe?
That new 8-channel amplifier is wicked cool. My counterpart for the Marine side, Phil White, and their team did an amazing job. And an 8-channel amplifier, one chassis, power, ground, your source unit, and boom, you're done. That would make a very elegant, very clean install, and you got plenty of headroom.
Yeah, plenty of headroom, plenty of power. That amplifier really is just a beast. And if you wanted to go the extra mile, you could conceivably bridge, 4 speakers to one 8-channel and then 4 speakers to a second 8-channel for 200 watts RMS per speaker, which is outside of our power recommendations by about 50 watts or so. But I think those guys will take it.
Good installer does the gain settings set right. Make sure you got plenty of battery. Okay, I wouldn't recommend sitting in the cove for 8 hours pounding it, because then you'll run into the same problem you do in a car when the battery dies. But all in all, more power is not a bad thing.
No, never a bad thing. We got him now? All right, let's see who that third place winner is. Chad N. from Georgia, congratulations on your TW1s. Let's see who the second place winner is for the TW2s. We've got Lawrence H. from Ohio. Congrats, Lawrence. And first place prize is going to get the BF 100, and looks like that is Joe A. from Colorado. Congratulations to you guys winning your prizes. And thank you, everybody, for tuning into the show tonight. We had a lot of fun talking motorcycle audio. If you guys want to hear more about motorcycle audio soon, then make a comment, and when maybe some stuff hits the market, we can make another episode on all the new stuff that we've got coming out. But as always, we appreciate you guys for tuning in. Andy does have an after show going on tonight, so be sure to tune in for that as well. And without any further ado, we will catch you guys later. Have a good night.
Amped up dreams fuel the stream. Thunder blast through endless skies. Driving forward never dies. Kicker unmasked, live it loud. Break the silence, join the crowd. Rock the planet, feel the fire. Shake the world, lift it higher. Whoa! Wires twist like veins of steel. Born to crush, born to feel. Lightning runs through every chord. Power surge, the final word.